Dear students, you are welcome in my online teaching classes. I am Shishpal Chauhan. Today I have brought the third video on the lesson Poets and Pancakes, written by Ashokamitran. This lesson is meant for the students of class 12. Let's begin the video lecture 3. Let me read the text. Subbu had a separate identity as a poet, and though he was certainly capable of more complex and higher forms, he deliberately chose to address his poetry to the masses. His success in films overshadowed and dwarfed his literary achievements, or so his critics felt. He composed several truly original story poems in folk refrain and diction, and also wrote a sprawling novel, Thilana Mohonambal, with dozens of very deftly etched characters. Let me explain some difficult words in identity means recognition, certainly means definitely, complex means complicated, deliberately means willingly, masses means common people, overshadowed means became less important, dwarfed means made to look small, unimportant. Refrain, it's a poetic device in which there is a repetition of a line in the beginning or at the end. Every stanza of a poem may also begin with the same line. Diction means the choice of words and their pronunciation. Let me explain the text. Subbu had a talent for writing poetry. Although he was capable of writing complex and higher type of poetry, it was his deliberate choice, deliberate means willing choice, to write poetry that common people could like and understand easily. But his literary achievements were overshadowed by the success he got in films. He wrote truly original stories in folk refrain and diction. He wrote a long novel, Thilana Mohonambal, in which there were dozens of skillfully prepared characters. Let's read the text. He quite successfully recreated the mood and manner of the Devdasis of the early 20th century. He was an amazing poet. He was an amazing actor. He never aspired to the lead roles, but whatever subsidiary role he played in any of the films, he performed better than the supposed main players. Explanation. Kotamangalam Subbu was behind the success of the film Devdasis that was released in early 20th century. He had worked for creating the mood and manner of that film. He was amazingly a great actor who never aspired for the lead role in which he could play as the hero or the main character in the film. Whatever role he got, he played it sincerely and better than the actors who were in lead roles. Let's read the text. He had a genuine love for anyone he came across, and his house was a permanent residence for dozens of near and dear ones, for near and far relations and acquaintances. It seemed against Subbu's nature to be even conscious that he was feeding and sporting so many of them. Came across means met by chance. Let's explain. Another quality that Subbu had in him was his generosity. Generosity means large-heartedness. He was very kind host to anyone who came in his contact and needed shelter. That's why the writer says that his house was a permanent residence for dozens of near and far relations and acquaintances. Another thing Ashokamitran adds here about Subbu's nature is that he was never conscious of the fact that he was helping people by providing them shelter and food in his house. It was his selfless service indeed. Generosity, large-heartedness. Host means someone who has guests. Text. Such a charitable and improvident man, and yet he had enemies. Was it because he seemed too close and intimate with the boss? Or was it general demeanor that resembled sycophants? Or his readiness to say nice things about everything? In any case, there was this man in the makeup department who would wish the direst things for Subbu. Difficult word. Charitable means generous. Improvident means careless and unplanned in spending money. Demeanor means the way one looks and behaves. Intimate means very close. Sycophant, flatterer. Direst means worst extremely dangerous? Let me explain now. Ashokamitran wonders that such a selfless person also had enemies. The writer also wonders if it was because he seemed very close to his boss, or it may be because his face and behavior misled people to mistake him for a sycophant or a flatterer. It may be that he was quick to produce solutions to the problems. It may be any reason, but there was a man in the makeup department who always wished dangerous things for Kotamangalam Subbu. You saw Subbu always with the boss, but in the attendance roles, he was grouped under a department called the Story Department, comprising a lawyer and an assembly of writers and poets. The lawyer was also officially known as the legal advisor, but everybody referred to him as the opposite. Let me explain some meanings also. Comprising means including. Explanation in English. The writer says that Subbu was always found in the company of the boss, but his name was in the attendance rolls under the story department that included a lawyer and a host of writers and poets. The lawyer was officially known as the legal advisor, but people referred him as the opposite. Host means crowd, a group of writers and poets. Text. An extremely talented actress who was also extremely temperamental once blew over on the set. While everyone stood stunned, the lawyer quietly switched on the recording equipment. When the actress paused for breath, the lawyer said to her, "1 minute please," and played back the recording. Explanation in English now. Ashokamitran also explains as to how the career of a talented young actress ended up all of a sudden due to the role of the so-called legal advisor. Let me explain meanings. Temperamental means the person who gets easily offended. Extremely means greatly. Blew over means got suddenly furious. Stunned means taken aback, shocked and surprised. Equipment means device या machine. Recording device से मतलब है यहाँ पे. Let me explain in English now. Ashokamitran also explains as to how the career of a talented young actress ended up all of a sudden due to the role of the so-called legal advisor. The actress was highly temperamental and talented. Once she burst out in anger on the sets, everyone present there was stunned while the lawyer recorded her outburst of anger in his recorder. When the young actress paused for breath, he went to her and said, "1 minute please," and played back the recording to her. There was nothing incriminating or unmentionably foul about the actress's tirade against the producer. But when she heard her voice again through the sound equipment, she was taken aback. She was struck dumb. Let me explain the meanings. Incriminating, that demands for punishment due to legal offense. Unmentionably foul, that cannot be mentioned as the speaker has used very foul language. Tirade, burst of explanation in English. Although the young actress had not uttered anything against the producer that could be termed as foul or criminal offense against her, yet she was struck dumb due to the shock she got from the recording. Text. A girl from the countryside, she hadn't gone through all the stages of worldly experience that generally precede a position of importance and sophistication, that she had found herself catapulted into it. She never quite recovered from the terror she felt that day. That was the end of a brief and brilliant acting career. The legal advisor, who was also a member of the story department, had unwittingly brought about that sad end. Word meanings. Gone through means experienced. Precede means that comes before. Sophistication means complexity, cleverness. Catapulted means thrown. Unwittingly, unintentionally. The writer says that she was a simple girl from the countryside who didn't know the ways of the complicated urban life. She had gained the important position all of a sudden without any struggle that usually makes one worldly wise and experienced before reaching the high position. She never recovered from the terror she felt that day. The legal advisor became the root cause of ruining her bright acting career. This is an example as to why the people thought him the opposite of what he was.